systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on? Man, what a rough start. What's going on, everybody? I don't know what's going on, Gyiraszin. Happy Wednesday. Hope y'all's Wednesday is going better than Gyirazin's, because he said his early slate wasn't doing too hot. Life is going well for Gyiraszin. Hope you're doing better than my boys, what just happened in the beginning. My early team's doing all right, though. Poker, just got back from the poker room 40 minutes ago, Gyiraszin. Took some money for some fish. That was good. So I'm doing well over here. 10 games DK, 8 games FanDuel, 6:40 Eastern. I'm excited to talk some baseball with you in this next hour. How you doing while I recover with my voice quick?
Hey, man, you came right out choking it up right out the bat, but that's all right there, Title. Hey, man, didn't have as much fun as you. Had to work the day job. You know, got to keep these plants. I saw automation equipment, robot equipment. Man, my phone was fucking ringing like crack acid dawn this morning. Customer's machine was down. He's calling me, and I had to run out there, get him apart. It made some money off it, but whatever. They're still bugging me ass early. Don't they know I watch baseball all night? Leave me alone, damn it. Yeah. But either way, man, real nice. Man, nicest weather in Michigan I've seen at this time of year. I can't ever remember. Usually Memorial Day after that, it kind of breaks through. But just been super nice. Like I said, man, I've been spending some time out there in my RV, just chilling, watching some baseball with a fire, drinking with all the neighbors, smoking all their ass in cornhole. So, man, the last couple of weeks been a lot of fun. But, hey, we got a way different slate here today, man, that we can talk about, especially the two different sites. You got 8 games on one, 10 games on another. You got 2 pretty kind of chalky pitchers on DK that won't even be on FanDuel that, we'll talk about. But, man, we got all kinds of good shit, though, going on at SHIPIT, though. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Well, we got the golf that is going off here tomorrow, so don't miss out on that. I think they were actually doing a live show, so hey, maybe we'll get a few of the people over there come over and visit us when they're done watching a little bit of the golf. But yeah, I mean, we got is there MMA this week there, buddy?
No MMA this week, but next week's 302.
What the hell? It's the holiday weekend. What are they doing? I guess nobody wants to watch that shit anyway. Everybody's outside.
I don't know. I want to watch it.
Fair.
Yeah, but it is always. I love MMA. I always do it, but anytime there's a week off, it's hours and hours and hours of my week I do get to myself. And poker paid for it this week, so there is always highs and lows. Good things about it, but MMA knowing this week. Back next week, I think a lot. After that, Greg's in here, Illini fan. Jake's in here, Danny, Jordan, Adam, Richie Smalls, Ben, Lance. What's going on, everybody? Great work on the early slate. Oh, there you go. What's up, Gyiraszin? MLB have 3 Mets thanks to projections and paired with Kepler. Awesome stuff, Illini fan. Hope you get to the winner's circle. Gyiraszin mentioned a lot of fun stuff going on. Of course, MLB, NBA playoffs. Shout out our man Rio. Do this way too much. Shipped 10K yesterday. He was a part of the chop for 100K up top. Absolutely crushing it. Showdown playbook or showdown core report for the rest of the year. If there's just one game on an island, which I assume they're going to be probably, I don't know why they put these Western Eastern Conference on the same day. He will have a showdown core report, a slate plan at the bottom for every single game moving forward. Big prize pools, a milli maker in the NBA Finals already up. So there's tickets up there. You want to try and qualify for that. Shout out Rio for taking that down. PGA locks tomorrow. No MMA this week. I think there's NASCAR, though. Playoff hockey all over here at ShipItNation.com. If you didn't, Shiptimizer, if you did not see the video yesterday we did, Gyiraszin and I, watch the beginning, like 15 minutes doing that. If you sign up right here, a monthly, 6-month, or annual package, you get the Shiptimizer for free. That just came out 2 weeks ago right now. Because it's in trial period. It will be paid for. It'll be cheaper than everywhere else. But right now, if you have any of those packages, you can do it for MLB, golf. Make sure to check it out. Dabble with it. If you've never used an optimizer, it's really cool. If you have one, then you probably know what's going on. Everyone's a little different. This will be the cheapest we have, or the cheapest rate in the industry when it is paid for. So get a head start. Check it out. I did a little breakdown 10-minute tutorial on the show yesterday. So make sure to check out that MLB show. Monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Check it out weekly as well. No Discord, $24 a week though. All the content's on the site. Like button, subscribe button. That's out of the way. Hope you're doing well, everybody. Gyiraszin, I think this is a very, very true statement from our man Jake. I mean, broad slate overview, you want to talk about it? You did say, we mentioned 10 games DK, 8 games FanDuel. And the big difference is 2 of the chalkier options on DK, Tyler Glasnow and Mike Spence, are not on the, or Mitch Spence, not Mike Spence. I knew something sounded wrong. Mitch Spence just 4K going against Colorado. Glasnow will be popular on DK. FanDuel's not including those last 2 games in the West Coast. So they're starting at 640, not doing the Dodgers game, not doing that Oakland game. Any broad slate overview before you go pitching? You want to get right into it?
Yeah, I know the FanDuel execs, they watch us. They follow us close, title. They really do. What the fuck are you doing? Why the hell would you leave those 2 games out, you fucking donkeys? You always got to do something. I mean, you always got to do something stupid. Like, what the fuck? I mean, you don't have to prove you're a donkey. Like, come on, man. That's flat out stupid. But yeah, you're right. This actually is a really good pitching slate. I mean, you look at it, I think I looked, it was like 5 dudes over 25% strikeout rate so far in the year. I mean, we don't get that. We're generally pretty happy. We don't normally only get a 30% or one time, but around DK, shit, we got Glasnow rolling. So you got him, you got Peralta. So you got a couple guys there. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think you got a lot of decent pitching. There's a couple different ways you could look at it here tonight. I mean, you got a Jones guy who's more expensive than Peralta, who nobody's going to play on FanDuel. I don't think nobody's going to play him over there. But, he's a little bit cheaper over there on DK. So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty interesting. But I think there's going to be a lot of Glasnow and Peralta love, especially on DK, because, as you mentioned, Spence is only 4K. They're saying he could get 70, 80 pitches. In his last start there, he had 70 pitches. So, if this kid gets 80 pitches and doesn't get his doors blown off at 4K, I mean, what are you really expecting here? I mean, shit. I mean, we can't get a good first baseman for 4K. So, I mean, you pretty much almost got to play the guy. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, I think a lot of people will play him, but that's why I think too, you're going to see some of these higher end pitching options. And I do think Jones is a great pivot here, especially a little bit more so on probably on FanDuel, because I don't think anybody's going to play him on FanDuel, but you're still getting a guy with a high strikeout rate. But I mean, it's a really good pitching slate here today, as Jake mentioned.
Yeah, it is. We'll get into it. But one question, mainly DK, actually the only talking DK because he's 4K is Mitch Spence. At what number, you said you're pretty much on you're all in on him. I think there's enough pitching options where I'm not quite there yet. At what number do you just think you're dead if you don't have him? If he gets 16, but Freddie and Glasnow get you 28, obviously it depends on what bats do. A lot of the good bat spots. Today's a lot harder for bats. Obviously, when we have so many good pitchers on the mound, I mean, we're going to go below AK. Jesus Luzardo, Chris Bassett, Pepio. There's solid Justin Steele, solid real-life pitchers, even in the lower tier. Max Fried, Bryce Miller, Nestor Cortez. That means we don't love too many spots for bats, which means the spots we do like are pretty expensive, like the Dodgers. So I guess at what number, what are you okay fading Mitch Spence? If he gets you 16, are you going all in on him? If he gets you 13, are you still fine with it because of what it gets you? Or talk about that quick.
If he gets over 20, I mean, that's just a smash. Absolutely.
Well, on DK, yeah.
On DK. He's only on DK. But the thing, too, is if he gets you 12, he's not going to kill you, right? If you're paying, for Glasnow and he gets you 12, that stings pretty good. But, I mean, let's be real. He's only on DK. Dodgers are in an awesome spot. I think they're expensive, as we know. You start paying for Shohei, Mookie, the top 5 Dodgers, you're obviously paying for him. And really, there's only really 6 Dodgers you even really consider, you playing. Kiki's probably the bottom guy. Kiki, do you love me? I love singing that shit, whatever. Mm-hmm. But, so, I mean, I think a lot of those teams with him are going to have Dodgers on it. So, so to me, if the Dodgers smash, yeah, I mean, then at that point, I think if that kid gets, in the teens, you're going to be in trouble. But I think in reality, you're going to be the most expensive stacks, I guess what I'm trying to say. One of them go off, it's pretty much over. At that point, you're going to have him just because he's so expensive. So, but I just think the Dodgers are in such a good spot. I think pretty much any 5-man stock with the Dodgers, I'm going to say pretty much has to have Spence in it.
Yeah. So my just thoughts, we'll touch on AK and above them below, but I think you can get away from Mitch Spence. There's so many good pitching options. 4.5K prop, juice on the under. Like, that's low on this slate. Glasnow 7.5, juice on the over. Cortez 6.5, close to even money. Pepio, heavy juice on over 5.5. So I think there's enough, like Luzardo, Pepio, Bassett, all below 8K. You compare those two, avoid the top range. If I look at it right now, not that I would X them out, but I'd probably take an underweight on the field approach, especially because if you go Spence, most people go in the upper tier, somewhere Peralta, Glasnow, and then 5-man, the same Dodgers team or something that everyone else is doing, because that's how you can afford it. So that's just my quick overview. Let's go top range. Glasnow, 10.6K, all the way to Brian Bello at 8K. Take it away for us.
All right. Start over at DK with Glasnow. You get Arizona. Glasnow's got 33, almost 34% K rate, low walk rate. We know what his upside is as far as his strikeout rate. So, percentages. So definitely like some Glasnow. The win equity's there. I think he's almost a minus 200. Last I checked. Let me just double check that. I think he was, minus 300.
Shit.
Hot, yeah. So man, that's just a pretty, big chance for win equity. Definitely like Glasnow. I think Peralta's 400 cheaper. He's 10.2 over on DK. So over on FanDuel, actually Jones is more expensive than Peralta, which is kind of odd. But Peralta gets a Miami team, not much power. We like the park for a pitcher park there over in Miami. So I think Peralta is a really good spot. Probably him and Glasnow are going to be the two chalkier, pitchers along with Spence here today, I think, with those three. Now, Jones is a little bit more priced, a little bit better over on DK at 9,600, being the third highest pitcher. But I don't mind him. I think he's a pretty good pivot. We get the Pittsburgh Park. Don't mind that. I don't mind attacking the Giants. And then Nestor Cortez, I think, is interesting here. He gets a Seattle team that does strike out quite a bit. I think Cortez is a decent pivot off some of these guys. He's only 9,300. I don't mind that at all. King is like, I don't know. He's like a dude. He's just hit or miss, man. He's like, what do you want to call him, Robbie Ray, or somebody along those lines, where he just blows it up, or like the Glasnow of a couple years ago, like, the dude would either give up 5 runs and, or he'd get you 10 Ks. It was either fucking Cy Young winner or he sucked. So, King, he's kind of in that boat, but I kind of like these Cincinnati bats. I don't like playing anything in the Great American Home Run Park over there. That's just tough. Fried against the Cubs, I just think there's better spots. I'm just not really interested. Miller, I don't really want to attack these Yankees here, especially in New York. Snell, I think this dude's going to be on limited pitch count here today, so I'm not even really sure about Snell at all. I wouldn't even consider him. I'd scratch him off. And then Bello, I don't have any interest in Bello either over there at 8K. But yeah, for me, I think it's interesting. I think Cortez, the top 4 over there on DK are definitely interesting. So I do think you're going to see more higher end of the pitching options being used just because we have such a cheap option. I think Spence is going to be 40 to 50% owned today over there on DK, and rightfully so. But I think Peralta, Glasnow for me are far and above and beyond, but Jones don't come in too far behind.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because it is a tough pitching slate. Yeah, we'll go there. Don't want to give it all away. A lot of premium members watching this too. It is a tough slate though. Obviously, like Screwball was on the early slate. Reagan's was on the early slate. But you can see Freddie, Jones, Bassett, we have as our top 3. And again, I think Freddie's going to get some ownership. I do think Glasnow is the highest owned in the top tier, probably the highest owned pitcher on the slate. I'd be a little surprised if Spence was higher owned. Yeah, especially with like Bassett 7.2, Luzardo 7.8, Pepio 7.5, who's all going to get some ownership. I don't think people dumpster dive more than they go Glasnow at SP1. So I like Freddie as a pivot. And again, it might be half the ownership, time and a half the ownership. But I like picking on Miami more than Arizona in Miami is something that is very appealing. K props, Freddy's is, or Glassnow's is a whole K higher, and then pretty much the same juice. 6.5 minus 115 on the over, 7.5 minus 125 on the over. So it makes sense why Glassnow 400 more, higher K prop, better win equity. He projects a little better, but we're talking that ownership, especially when I'm going to be pretty chalky at bats. I like the pivot there. Same thing with Jared Jones. Pitchers Park. I mean, he's been so good. Talk about ups and downs. He's had a lot of ups. The K stuff is amazing. However, like you look 12, 7, 9, or those are only 2 games, bad games so far. 21, 35, 25, 24. Been really good this year. There is more downside to him than a Glassnow, I think, than a Freddie, I think. But the upside is clear as day in this one. We have him number 2 in our rankings right here. So I like him. No King, no Bryce Miller for sure, no Blake Snell, no Bello. Fried's a little interesting. Wind's still blowing out in Chicago, but it's nothing like it was yesterday. And then Nestor Cortez against Seattle is definitely a matchup I'm interested in. Let's go AK and below. And then if there's anything you want to round out, how I'd rank them, Freddie 1. Oh, man. Probably Glassnow 2, Cortez 3, Jones 4. But it's mainly just those 4 guys up top. Because below AK, clear people for me. If you want to start at the bottom, Mitch Spence. We've talked about a decent bit. He gets the Colorado matchup at mid-price 4K through, I believe, like 75, 77 pitches. Last time out, I mean, you got 12.9 DK points. You get me 12.9 DK points today, I'm still probably playing him in some teams, but I'm definitely going to be underweight. If it gets you Glassnow or Freddie and it gets you all the Dodgers that nuke or the Braves or whatever it may be, like that's why you'll need a Mitch Spence on a slate like this. If 2 pitchers get you 25 plus today, you probably won't need Mitch Spence on the winner. Luzardo's got that upside, 7.8K. He's one of my favorite pitchers on the slate. Higher K prop than Freddie. I like going Freddie and Luzardo and pitching game stack that game. Bassett, I'm fine with against the White Sox, but it's just a matchup so good. Bassett's K stuff isn't like the Luzardos of the world, the Freddies, the Jones. So I don't know. I'm indifferent, I guess, with him. Pepio, the other one, I think will be lower owned than Luzardo and Bassett, sandwiched right in between that same range. I think he's pretty interesting against Boston. I talk enough. Take it away.
Yeah, the bottom half of the pitching is, Jake mentioned earlier. I mean, the whole pitching slate's pretty strong. I mean, you got a guy at 4K at the bottom, as you mentioned, 77 pitches. In AAA, he was, basically average. I mean, they really don't have too much upside, but for 4K, I mean, what are we really talking about? But so, I mean, moving on up, I'm not interested in Nelson. He's going to get his doors blown off, in my opinion, by the Dodgers. Nostrani, I'm not interested in against Toronto. I don't want any kind of Walker against Texas. No thanks. Not interested in Martinez. Gomber. I mean, it is Oakland. I mean, maybe you could consider Gomber if you wanted to go there. I don't mind attacking Oakland, but I just can't do that either. Steele, no thanks. Dane Dunning coming back from an injury. I don't know how much that guy's going to get. Man, that Texas bullpen sucks, so not going there. Bassett is going to get a lot of ownership. Obviously, he's got the White Sox here. Bassett being 7-2, as you mentioned, I think, you're going to see a lot of Bassett love here today. Don't mind Bassett at all. Like we mentioned, White Sox stink. Pepio is getting talked about too. I think Pepio is really scary for me. I kind of was looking into him, and then I realized that, this guy, he just missed some time here with the leg injury. So I'm just concerned he might be on a pitch count. So if that's the case, and Tampa's pretty careful with their pitchers. I mean, they're not going to let that guy out there. So
he is in the mid 80s, but I will say, to play devil's advocate, he's in between Bassett and Luzardo, will be more popular. And I like looking at K props a lot. It dictates a lot of upside. Pepio is still higher than Bassett, 5.5 minus 135 on the over. Bassett's minus 115. Like, if we're talking Bassett's going to be 2x higher owned or something, the safe play, no doubt, is Bassett. Like, you're not playing, if you're playing cash, granted, you don't need, there's Glassnows, there's Freddy's, there's Spence. I think Bassett's fine there. Cash, you go Bassett over Pepio a million times. But everything you're saying is true. I just want to play a little devil's advocate in that price range. Pepio's is higher K prop, which was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. So, I mean, Like I said, the Rays, just the way, they always deal with their pitching staff, it's just kind of scary with him. Now, Luzardo, I think, is really interesting. I mean, this guy's definitely got some K upside. Don't mind chasing Milwaukee, here at all. So, I don't mind that at all. Luzardo, mid 33% the lefties, so you're taking Yelich. I think Yelich will be the only lefty in there. He's going to pretty much probably get all righties, but I mean, he's still at 27% K rate against righties. So I think Luzardo is really interesting. I mean, you could look at Luzardo and Bassett. I think that could be a combination you could definitely use over there on DK and still get some pretty good bats. I mean, that's pretty much equal to the salary that you're going to be using with, Spencer and Peralta. So you're not too far off. So, I think you're going to see, a lot of different combinations today with pitching, which is going to make it pretty fun. Like yesterday we were, kind of funneled to pitching. So I like slates like this where it's kind of mixed up a little bit. But man, I can't remember a day where the two slates are so different on one side to the other.
100%.
I mean, just not having them two games, I just don't get it, man. I really don't get it. So, maybe somebody back in the IT department back there in New York over there at FanDuel needed to have the night off or something, got a little, date or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on there. That's just dumb. But, definitely interesting slate for sure. But, I think, you got some.
Rank your top three. Rank your top three
all the way with everybody included.
Yeah.
I'd say Peralta is my one. I'm going to say got to go Glass now for DK only on 2. And then Luzardo, I like him. And then I'd probably DK, I'd probably use Spence just because I like the Dodgers today. So I think if you use the Dodgers, you're pretty much going to, to get some heavy hitter Dodgers, especially if you want to go 5-man, I think Spence is going to have to be the key to unlock that.
Yeah. Like I said, I do think you can go like a Pepio, Bassett, Luzardo, pick 2 of the 3 and get some Dodgers, which is interesting. Like if I'm going Spence and the popular Dodgers, I'm going to think about my remaining SP2, SP1, it would be with Price or whatever, and secondary stack, because I do think Dodgers are one of the clear chalk spots. I do think Toronto will be pretty chalky too, but their prices aren't way up there where like all Spence teams or a lot of Spence teams will have Toronto. It'll be a lot of Spence teams will have a 5-man Dodger stacks will have Spence as one of their spots just because of what it gets you. I'll rank pitcher, Freddie 1, Luzardo 2. I like that pitching game stack. Glass now 3. If I had to add a 4th, I don't know. Pepio I just love he could be like 12% owned, right in between a mid-tier that Luzardo and Bassett's going to get that ownership. And I don't want to say Spence, so I guess I'll go Pepio 4. I don't love that though. FanDuel, just real quick pitching. I think it's because there is no Spence and there is no Glass now. I think if people pay up, it's going to be Freddie at 10K. I think Luzardo will be a pivot at 9.4. You mentioned Jones. I do not think Jones he could be like 7% owned because that's 600 to Freddie. I think people will side there. But I do expect Bassett to be one of the most popular, 8.4K, 1,600 savings from Freddie. That's probably as cheap as people go. All right, let's get to bats. My voice is running out. Gyiraszin, carry me through, baby. Carry me through.
How's your voice out? You were playing poker all day. Well, all you got to say is call.
I don't talk. Yesterday, you heard me yesterday. It was a bender the whole week, Gyiraszin.
Oh, man.
No, it was not poker. I'm not. Come on. All right.
This guy's got the life.
Texas Rangers, amen to that. Very well. Texas Rangers, Philadelphia Phillies, Dane Dunning, Taijuan Walker, 10 total. This is where people are going to go 80 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit. Like if you want to pivot, and it's a popular pivot, this is going to be, if you're not, people aren't going Dodgers. People are going to go to some of these Phillies. People are going to go to some of these Rangers. I do think they're lower owned than the Dodgers, maybe lower owned than Toronto. They're by far not sneaky at all, though. Take this game away, Phillies, Rangers.
Man, I think the Phillies are really interesting because, man, I don't know how much Dane Dunning we're going to get. I mean, coming back. I mean, dude, the Texas bullpen ERA is like 5.15, worst in the majors. Their whip is like 1.4. They're terrible. I think they walk a lot of guys. I think that, this game here could be a spot here for Philly that they could just put up a bunch of runs here today. So, they're going to get a good, they're going to get at least probably 5 innings of a bullpen. I don't see Dunning getting past 4 innings. I just don't. So I definitely like this Phillies here today. I think it's a really good spot for Philadelphia. So, I definitely think that. Coming out the gate, we got a game with the highest total, right? Yeah, 10. We're sitting there with the highest one right out the gate. So, Schwarber definitely is interesting. Harper. I like all these guys. I think they're all in play. For me, give me the Phillies. I think they're going to be one of my top stacks here today. And then, Walker's not somebody that I really like to pick on too much. He's got high ground ball rates. He's 47% to righties, 43% here to lefties. I don't know. I guess you're going to pick on him. You'd want to go some lefties. Corey Seager seems to be hitting the ball a little bit better, or Josh Smith, if you wanted to look at that, maybe some one-offs if you wanted to go there. But Seager, Smith's had a couple hits. I think a couple hits I saw when I was looking at things. He's had a couple 2-game hits, 2-hit games, backwards. But so definitely interesting spot here. But man, I think Philadelphia could absolutely crush, especially that back, that middle part of that bullpen that, might have to be some long relievers. Like when you talk bullpens, like we could say, oh, Yankees, or Indians that have one of the best bullpens. But man, if a starter gets shelled, they're bringing out, pretty much one of their long middle relievers. And sometimes, like in the second or third inning, you get one of them guys and they're not much better because that's like their 6th starter, So sometimes, you can catch that. Like a lot of times the bullpens are really good at the back half. Like you don't want to fool, the Yankees, you get past the 7th inning Indians, it's lights out. The Tigers bullpen has been really good too. So, but man, this Texas bullpen is bad. So I think Philadelphia is really good spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. The lefties on both sides profile better against Dunning and Walker. For the Phillies, it's nice. They went lefty righty all the way until 8-9. Like I love Brandon Marsh in the 7 hole. Should keep his own 4-4 is a little up there. He's in the 7 spot. Should keep the ownership low. Love him a part of stacks. Stott a part of stacks. The righties I mainly would fill in with 5-mans though. Dane Dunning can be tough on righties. Walker solid against righties too. So both sides definitely viable for 5-man. Would focus on lefties if I'm mini stacking more so, and then throw the righties in 5-man stacks. That's how I see it. Great hitting weather, 80 degrees, wind blowing out, but it's not sneaky. Like we mentioned, Dodgers, Blue Jays are going to be pretty chalky, and I think this is the other game people come to. So ownership will be, if you like one of these teams, play them. There's enough other pitching options too. Don't get away of this game because it's somewhat chalky. I just want to say, like, this next game, Boston, Tampa, then we'll go to Seattle, New York. All 4 of those teams will be lower owned than both of these teams right here. Boston, Tampa, Brian Bello, Ryan Pepio on the mound, 7.5 total. Nothing for me. Anything for you?
No, I'm all set. But I will say, man, we talked a little bit about it yesterday. Wrong. I was thinking something else here. But, if you wanted to look at somebody here, Isaac Paredes, maybe if you want to do a one-off. The Boston side, Devers has been obviously hitting home runs. You wanted to look there. But, yeah, nothing really here in this game total 7.5.
Seattle Mariners, New York Yankees. Bryce Miller, nasty Nestor Cortez on the mound, 75 degrees in New York. I like Nestor Cortez. I don't think I talked about him enough in pitching, actually. I think I'd probably have him over Pepio, so he would be number 4. Seattle, high strikeout team, solid win equity for Cortez, has been pitching well. Really nothing not to like from him. But Bryce Miller's a solid pitcher too. If I play him, these Yankees, I want Soto, I want Verdugo, Rizzo. I definitely want to attack him with lefties. But I don't know, Soto's 6'4". If I'm spending up, I'd much rather play Schwarber, we just talked about, Harper, who we just talked about, Ohtani, whatever it may be. I don't really see myself getting many of these Yankees. Maybe a Rizzo, Verdugo, like I said, lefties, but I don't even like them that much.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Man, do we have to have a safety meeting for the people? Like Nick and Poe, D-Gen, Stoner over here, y'all need to have a safety meeting. We need to call timeout and have a safety meeting. We all need to have a talk about this. Like, we don't need to be getting all fired up over dumb shit. But either way, I agree with you here on this Yankee game. Bryce Miller, I mean, this guy's got a low striker, 18% to lefty. So yeah, definitely if I'm looking at something, I'm gonna be looking at Soto, Verdugo, Rizzo, if you wanted to look there. I don't know. I think too with this game with Cortez, I'm not even going there with Seattle. I just think Seattle is just not hitting the ball well enough at all. But Dylan Moore, he's hitting the shit out of the ball. I mean, that's for sure. But other than that, yeah, I'm just not interested in the Seattle bats. I mean, Seattle is like one of these teams, like it's just like in a Toronto category for me. Like it's just so hard to roster them. I mean, other than one-offs, like the Indians kind of are for me. Even though I did say, in my slate plan today, I hate stacking the Indians, but I mean, there were a couple guys that were viable today in the early slate. But yeah, man, I think this one here, if you wanted to one-off some Yankees, I think that's or mini stack them. I think you could definitely look at that. I don't really like attacking Miller. I think there's better spots, but I mean this game's sitting at an 8 total. In New York, Park, I don't mind playing bats. So I mean, look at that. Maybe we can home run hunt, but I think Soto would be the guy that stands out above everybody.
Yeah, he's 6.4K. You're definitely paying for it, but I do agree. This next game's interesting. White Sox, Blue Jays. Nick Nastrini, Chris Bassett on the mound. So the Blue Jays almost a 5 total, one of the highest team totals on the slate. And when you compare them to like some of these Phillies, some of these Rangers, the Dodgers, they're so much cheaper on them 1 through 9. The highest expensive bat is 4.9K in Vlad, 4.6, 4.4, 4.4, 4.3. That's the top of the order. Bottom of the order, 3.3, 2.7, 2.9. So this is kind of where I'm talking. If you play the Blue Jays, just know, like, you can fit Freddie and Glass now with 5-man Blue Jays, but that might not be that sneaky because when Blue Jays do get ownership, I bet you Blue Jays and Spence isn't very popular, isn't nearly as popular as, like, Blue Jays and Glass now. And, like, Dodgers and Spence are probably more popular than Dodgers and Freddie or something like that. So what I'm trying to say is if I play Toronto, I think I like the idea maybe, like, going mid-tier, like Luzardo, Bassett or something like that. I don't love going Blue Jays and Spence as much unless like you zero out the money, so to speak, because I don't see Spence outscoring Luzardo straight up, Bassett straight up, Freddie and them up top either. But I hope what I'm saying kind of makes sense. If I'm playing Blue Jays, think about how you're playing like the pitching. And then if you're playing a Glass now, a Bassett or something like that, if you're not playing Spence because people won't need it, maybe get a little different with secondary stack. Take it away, like real life. Do you like the Blue Jays today? But they're going to be pretty popular. You can do Bass Luzardo. Yes, you definitely
I'll
can.
let everybody else play the Blue Jays, man. Let them play the Blue Jays. You get blue balls from these mother fools. I mean, all they do, they just burn money. Might as well light the shit on fire, because they don't do a 5-man stack very well. They finally figured out you got to put Varsho at the top of the lineup, and especially with Schneider. But the Toronto's they're just disappointing, man. They just disappoint night in and night out. They are really cheap, and I think that's why they're projecting so well in some of the optimizers. It's just because they're so damn cheap. But I can't do it. But if you want to do some one-offs, like I said, Schneider, Varashow, I think you could look at something like that. I mean, it is the White Sox. The White Sox bullpen does, they've been getting actually a little bit better here recently. They've actually been trending to being better than they were at the beginning of the year. They actually lowered their ERA here in the last few weeks. But man, I don't know, man. They're just so hard to stack the Blue Jays. It's just so hard. So White Sox, man, you can't play the White Sox. The White Sox are just terrible. I mean, I can't even pick a guy I would even want to maybe even think about playing. I mean, Gavin Sheets, if you want. I mean, they're just puke, man. I no thank you. This lineup is awful. So, I mean, that's why I think Bassett's going to be in play. And then, you could even think, could I play a team where I'm going to get some leverage off some pitching? I mean, you could definitely get some leverage today off a team like the White Sox with Bassett. It's probably more so over on FanDuel today. But I mean, the White Sox just are bad. I can't do it. You can't stack them. They're just terrible. So, maybe a one-off if you wanted to, shorten it up a little bit. Maybe you could do something like that. I mean, we all know, Fam's got some power, but I mean, not without Jimenez. I mean, this lineup just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, it's just awful. It's bad news. So, Yeah, I can't do it. I'm not a fan of either of these bats, but I think Toronto will be fairly popular. Let everybody else play them. I'm happy with that. That's just one of them things when I see ownership on like Toronto or the Indians, something like that. I'm like, great, go for it. You guys have fun with that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And again, if you do play them, there's going to be a lot of teams that eat into each other's ownership. It's how you play them in certain builds. Dodgers, you need cheap pitcher, cheaper stack, you can go up, etc. Now, I realized I was tweaking. I skipped 2 games. I don't think we talked Giants, Pittsburgh. Thankfully, it's Blake Snell, Jared Jones. I got nothing for bats. It is hot in Pitt, though, 80 degrees. You got anything in that game?
I mean, I think Pittsburgh might be interesting as a sneaky. You got Blake Snell coming back. That guy can get blown up. I mean, we don't know really what we're going to get out of him. So I don't mind that if you wanted to look at a Pittsburgh team, as a sneaky kind of stack. So I think there, but yeah, I definitely not going the other side of that one at all with against Jones. So no thanks, but I don't mind the Pittsburgh angle. I mean, I think they'll be really low owned, and hey, might get to Snell. Just never know.
Well, yeah, 1 through 5. Even Michael A. Taylor strikes out a lot, but his numbers aren't bad against lefties in the 9-hole. If you want to wrap around cheap there, Connor Joe, Edward Oliveira is one of the best up there. So yeah, I don't.
The bullpen, we're talking. Bottom 5 bullpen too for San Francisco. So, not a bad spot to attack really that nobody's talking about. So I don't know how much you're going to get a Snell either. So I think that's interesting. I think Pittsburgh could be one that is getting overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, I will say there's no way I can 5-man stack it because most of the pieces I want outside of Nick Gonzalez are just outfield. Connor Joe has first base eligibility too, but McCutcheon solid, just outfield. Brian Reynolds solid, just outfield. Joe first base outfield. Oliveira's outfield. Then I probably want Gonzalez second base, so I think would be fine to add in there. I don't want to play a Neil Cruz lefty at 4 or 5. I'm not playing Bart, Triolo, and then Michael A. Taylor I think's fine. He's just outfield too, though. It's cheap. If you go Glasnow, Freddie, and 5-man some other team, and you need a cheap exposure mini stack, yeah, I think you talked me into Little Pirates. However, a lot of them will be in the outfield, the ones I like, which I don't love. Let's get to this one I also skipped. This one's a lot more appealing. However, it's confusing in my opinion. Padres, Reds, 80 degrees in Great American Small Park. Mike King, Nick Martinez on the mound. You mentioned a little Mike King as a wild card. I mean, Nick Martinez kind of can be a wild card too. Ground ball pitcher, went out and dominated last start. Prior, not the best. Good hitting weather, good hitting park. 2 iffy pitchers. Yeah, I mean, this is a game I think you should be able to get behind. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I really like the park, that's for sure. King, as you mentioned, I think I like the lefties more so against King here. I think Ellie Cruz is interesting. And then how many more stolen bases is this guy going to have? Like, we're going to start talking some, Ricky Henderson type shit here. I mean, we definitely might be. I thought that was a record that nobody had ever even come close to. But, man, this dude's stealing second, third. I mean, you talk about
4 stolen bases in a game is just like, dude.
Right. I mean, and the dude will steal home too, man. You got to stay on your damn toes. Was it Yelich the other day that stole home when they were just throwing the ball back to the pitcher? Was that what it was? I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, man,
that's some little league stuff. That was way back in the day.
Back in there, you're not looking at the manager. You're fucking looking at I'm not looking at you. But yeah, I mean, the only thing really that it drives me nuts about Cincinnati, man, they're more just as frustrating as the Twins with their pinch hitting. I mean, it's just it can be so tilting sometimes. But yeah, but I definitely think the Reds are interesting for me against King. As you mentioned, Martinez also, he can definitely be a ground ball pitcher in the past, but I mean, he isn't as ground ball as he hasn't had as many ground balls as he's had in past years. He's been down a little bit there, but Padres, a little bit interesting there. Game total 9.5. I mean, that's the second highest total we got on the slate next to that Texas-Philadelphia game. So definitely can't forget about that. There you go, Jake. Durant stole home last night. How many steals a home we had already this year? Like 5? I mean, it's crazy. You never used to hear that. But yeah, so yeah, I think this game's definitely interesting, but I prefer the red side for sure.
Yeah, I think I prefer red side. I will say though, like I like that Texas Philly game way more that we talked about. Blue Jays, I don't know. It's a little close. When we get to these Dodgers, I like them a lot. Like a lot of these teams just aren't in great spots. I think I even like Braves. We'll go right to them a little more. But I'm hesitant on this because King, Martinez, two guys that can't keep the ball on the ground. Doesn't matter how warm or how small the park is if you're hitting ground balls. So I'm a little hesitant on that one. But I think I prefer red side. Ellie for sure. Last thing I'll mention, Jacob Hurtsby's is batting leadoff, min price 2K. He's going to be popular. I don't love it as a one-off, and I assume that you're talking pinch hit. He's got to have pinch hit risk. Oh, yeah. So not someone I love in red stacks, even though he makes a lot fit. Next game on the slate, Atlanta Braves, Chicago Cubs, 70 degrees in Chicago, wind blowing out like 10 miles an hour to right, it looks like. Nothing like 25 miles an hour yesterday. Max Fried, I look at Max Fried pretty good. There's no way I'm playing the Cubs. I'd rather play Max Fried than the Cubs, and I do think he's in play. Braves against Justin Steele is interesting because if you play Acuna, Albies, Ozuna, Olsen, then you're not playing the Dodgers, or you're not spending up at pitching, or you're not playing like Harper and them. Braves have to be low owned since other spots are in better spots as spend ups. You have Mitch Spence. You can go Mitch Spence and those 5 Braves and feel totally fine with it. There's enough SP2 options. Yeah, I think the nature of this slate, Braves are pretty interesting as a contrarian team when I don't like too many contrarian teams. No Cubs for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Fried's such a high ground ball pitcher. I mean, the dude's got 66, 67% so far this season on the ground ball, the both side. I mean, that's ridiculous. So I'm not really interested in any of these Cubs. And man, we talked about this same damn teams yesterday in this win game. You know, and like I said, it just seems like title, we'll keep bringing it up. Like I swear these Wrigley games that have all the eyes on them. And I text a buddy of mine who's into sports betting, and I text him like, hey, is there any way I could look up Wrigley Field over unders over 10, what the win percentage is, anything over 10? And I'm thinking, I bet you it's in the 30s. Like it's got to be really low. I just seems like it's the case. But either way, I mean, yeah, I think
I will say it's baseball at the end of the day too. Like whatever spot you're in, it's still so, unless you're playing in Mexico City and like you're playing with little league fences and all the altitude, like no one should be surprised to see that game. Excuse me, just dropped my mouse. No one should be surprised to see that game bust yesterday.
No, absolutely not. I mean, in kind of in reference, comparing it to what you were doing early today with poker, and I explained to some of my friends that are, or people that are talking to me about DFS, when I talk about, information and touts that, you read, it's like, hey, it's like poker on steroids, like the variants, like I could tell you're playing aces or whatever, all you want and it's different stuff, but so many things could happen that just busts and doesn't work out. And baseball is that times 10. So,
variants in DFS
what the right things are, don't mean it's going to work. I mean, it's baseball. It's fun though. I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, I put in, like I get asked a lot too, like, how much volume do you play? Like I play a lot of volume in football because it's 1 in 7 days that I'm playing. So I might play, $3,000-4,000 on a Sunday where I'm only playing $200-300, $400 maybe on a baseball slate. Maybe if I like it, I'll bump a little more and something, I'll put up. But even if I win, I stay in my same lane, do the same things over and over. I don't try to get crazy. So, but man, yeah, I mean, that's baseball though. That's what we love. But yeah, I think going back to this game though, I think Atlanta is interesting. As you mentioned, I mean, I prefer Atlanta against lefty. I mean, Albies, I like him from that side. Arcia, he smacked the shit out of one yesterday for him. I mean, you get Duvall, he's fairly cheap. He'll be in there. I don't mind Olsen, lefty. Of course, we know Ozuna has been smashing the shit out of it. And, Acuna is obviously another guy he gets on. He's pretty much a stolen base threat. So, I don't mind this Atlanta stack at all. I think, they have been a little disappointing this year. Their numbers are down compared to where, they were in the past year. But, hey, if you can get a team like this, of this kind of quality, I don't mind it at all. Kind of looking at the, Chicago bullpen, it's, bottom 10 or so, bottom 3rd in baseball. So it's not the greatest either. So I think I think this one's interesting.
Yeah, give me some of these Braves. Again, they'll be low owned, can play them in a lot of ways. No Cubs for me. Colorado Rockies, Oakland Athletics.
I'm just reading envious links, whatever. Where have I been? What happened to title? Man, it's that woman got him, man. Now he's got You got getting married. He moved out to Arizona. He's getting his life together. The man's on the family path.
I've had that woman for many, many years before RPS.
Okay, fair. All right.
But it was nothing about that. Yeah, maybe.
Well,
hey, you need a change in life sometimes.
You know, I can understand that.
I don't have as much anymore. That's true. Because I went from looking like a 12-year-old to little fresh up. So now I look like 16.
You know, we'll get you. We'll get you. We got to get you one of them nice SHIPIT hats that we got here.
I got them. I just wore it yesterday. You didn't look?
You know, are we still giving 33% off or 25% off the merch? Is that still going on?
I don't think so, but you can give it a try. 33 off. We'll see if Hoop shifts that out. I don't know if that works though anymore. I think it might have sold out. All right, let's keep it going. 2 games. I don't know what all y'all saying. Rockies, A's. You guys make me laugh. We have a lot of fun. We the people. Okay. I remember We the People. I was like, who's Envious Lyrics? That makes a lot of sense. Hope you're doing well, We the People. Always remember you, of course. Rockies, A's, Austin Gomber, Mitch Spence, 65 degrees. I do not like this game. So, like, it would make sense. Like, oh, Mitch Spence, a bad pitcher, is chalk or somewhat chalky. Let's get direct leverage. Well, the Rockies stink. The park stinks. And I mean, Mitch Spence might not be that bad. I think the Rockies are probably worse than Mitch Spence might be. If it was at home, obviously I'd like it, but I still don't even like these Rockies. The A side, Gomber's not great, but he keeps the ball on the ground. It's not a park where I like facing a ground ball pitcher. I don't like playing too many of these A's. So, yeah, I think I even like the Pirates more for cheap bats, like you mentioned. I don't like this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like it either. Both these offenses are ones that we generally like, you know, to use pitching against. And the Rockies are bad. I can't go. I mean, on DK, there'll be some hell of a leverage opportunities if you wanted to pull some one-offs, if you wanted to go that route. I mean, Spence is just an average pitcher. I mean, he couldn't even make the roster at the beginning of this year. So, you know, I think you could look at some Rockies bats if you want. Blackman. Maybe look at McMahon if you wanted to go look at some one-offs like that. Might not be a bad idea. Oakland, you kind of got the same thing. Gomber, low strikeout rate, both sides of the plate. He is a ground ball pitcher to the right side, more so than the left side. Higher fly ball pitcher to the left side as well. So definitely want to maybe look at some left-handed bats. And you know what? The A's are going to roll out a bunch of righties. So basically, you know, Rooker is a guy you might want to look at. Maybe as a one-off if you wanted to go there. Langlier's got a little bit of power. But, yeah, I mean, for me, Rooker maybe about the only guy that I'd look at playing here today. But, yeah, they're going to roll out a bunch of righties here. Langlier's, Rooker. I mean, I'm not interested in J.D. Davis, Toro, anybody like that. But maybe a mini stack if you wanted to look at that. But you're right. I think I like the Pirates in a similar situation than more so than the A's here.
Yeah, I would say my favorite bat in that game is probably Ryan McMahon. Charlie Blackmon, Ryan McMahon. Just hope you get some direct leverage from Mitch Spence. Guys that can hit it in the air. That's Ryan McMahon and Charlie Blackmon to an extent. So other than that, not much. Last game on the slate. Keep talking about them Dodgers. This is the Dodgers spot again. Like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton first. If you're watching live, watching on playback. I always enjoy laughs. Always enjoy doing the show with Gyiraszin because he's a funny dude and he makes me laugh. Always enjoy plenty of people in chat, familiar faces. A lot of y'all are funny people, make me laugh. Laughing is good in life. You live longer. Dodgers, Diamondbacks, Ryan Nelson, Tyler Glasnow, 8 total, 60 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit, which doesn't mean much. I mean, dude, Ryan Nelson, I pull up his numbers against lefties, red. Righties, red. Everywhere, red. This dude is the definition of cheeks.
Dodgers are better than a hooker on dollar day.
Take it away.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I didn't even look. I bet you the hitter ratings. Yeah, I guess yesterday Gunnar was the top hitter. I mean, Shohei's got to be the top hitter today. I virtually almost guarantee it just because Nelson does he's throwing beach balls to lefties up there. So Shohei for me has got to be one of the top bats, followed up here by Freeman. Hayward should get back in there. I'm seeing today. So, but man, we know the bottom part of this lineup looks.
Wow.
These guys are pinch hit.
Yeah, Eddie's right. We have Ohtani 2. We have Soto 1. Ownership will be a lot less. Miller struggles against lefties. Yeah, it makes a little sense. I mean, again, these are rankings, not like our highest projected. We have Ohtani higher projected, but the hitter rankings taking a lot of factors. So Eddie was right. I love Ohtani's 2. Yes, Price. Yes, etc.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a great spot. I think the Dodgers here are, especially, I mean, obviously only being on DK. FanDuel, what the hell, man? What are you doing? I don't get it.
For you to ship on DK today, Gyiraszin.
I mean, like, if you live out in LA and the Dodgers are your team, you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, you would have got to just play some Showdown tonight? Like, what the hell is this shit?
Showdown, FanDuel Showdown. You might literally win like $10 when you ship.
Right. I mean, you might as well go outside and roll craps with the squirrels. We're nuts outside. But yeah, definitely this game here is for me is the best spot. But the Dodgers, I mean, you got to stay within, it seems like the top 5 or 6 hitters. The bottom part, except for Kike, is the only guy, like I said earlier, that's doing anything. So, yeah, Dodgers, in my opinion, top stack here today. As I mentioned, the 2 sites so different. So, Arizona against Glass now, no thanks. I'm not going there at all. I mean, this guy's K rate 40% to righties, 36% to lefties. I mean, Arizona doesn't have. They're all like in the mid 19 to 20, mid 20% range. Nobody's really that high. Suarez is the highest at 29%. But yeah, I don't know, man. What do you mean Gyirasin's on one today? You know what I smoked? I smoked one of them Jeters before I got on here today. It was a sativa one. I was like, I got to smoke that sativa one today so I can, not be sitting there all half baked, melting in my damn chair today. But, hey, the safety meeting was good today. And I got woke up at early as shit. So I don't know what happened today, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was that Pepsi I drank with that. I had a nice corned beef sandwich that was delicious.
You just went from Jeters to waking up early to a corned beef sandwich to a Pepsi. I don't know what's going on, but that's also stuff, Gyiraszin. 10 games on DK, 8 games on FanDuel. Give a like for our man Gyiraszin. Again, if you want to check out the hitter rankings to see who number 3 is, hitter rankings up, stack rankings, pitcher rankings. We did show off a little of the pitcher rankings. Got to be a member if you want to see the rest. Projections, ownership, all loaded into the Shiptimizer as well. Get over here. If you have a monthly, 6-month annual package, $69 a month, $64 a month for the 6-month package, $58 a month for the annual package. You get to mess with the MLB Shiptimizer the whole time until it does go paid. Right now it's free with the membership. Explore with it. When it comes and is paid, it'll be cheaper than everywhere else in the industry. You don't need an optimizer. If you play 1 team, 2 teams, if you have always done it that way, stick with what works for you. If you play 20 plus teams, even if you do single entry, I use an optimizer a lot for my single entry teams too. Mess with it right now. See if it's for you. Yesterday, Gyiraszin and I on this show, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, did a little MLB tutorial going through the Shiptimizer. Check that out from yesterday as well. Have a piece in the Discord. If you don't want monthly, 6-month annual, just want the content, $24 a week, no Discord. I do recommend the Discord. Very important piece of the product. However, $24 can't beat that for all of the content as well. I've done smoked 2 splits of OG, some white Henny. I'm fired up, Gyiraszin. There we go.
Yeah, get it. Hey, life's too short, man. Have some fun. That's the way I look at it.
Hey, Nick, he drank a 12-pack before 9 a.m. All right, you get a pass. Hey, we didn't put you in mute. We didn't give you a timeout. Not going to block you. You were funny today, but we do know the difference between a 4-seam fastball and a 2-seam fastball. I think Gyiraszin played a lot. I played ever since growing up as well. Yes, 2-seam moves in.
They both hurt when
you
a
little faster. Yeah, they both hurt for sure.
They both hurt.
We know the baseball, though. Gyiraszin, final thoughts for the people before we get on out of here.
Man, a lot of fun going on. Like we mentioned, ship all kinds of stuff going on. Hey, let's not forget about our 4 Deep fellas either. I think they sponsor us here on our baseball show. So, hey, we don't want to piss our sponsor off, not mentioning them, but I mean, these guys are kicking some butt too. You guys got to get over and check it out. But yeah, a lot of fun going on. Shiptimizer, that's going to be awesome. We're going to have that honed in before football, so that's going to be awesome. Then we got some best balls coming up. We got the reigning champ sitting here to my left, to my right, to my left.
No, that's the old reigning champ.
2-year reigning champ. We'll call you reigning champ still.
Thanks.
But so a lot of fun going on. But yeah, I like this slate here today. A little bit different as we talk. Every day is a different kind of puzzle. This one here is just great for pitching. I think we're going to see all kinds of different options. I'd rather actually today. I think I prefer DK. I think I just like having them 2 games at the back. Yeah. I mean, it adds just a lot more. We got a good offense. Got a couple pitching options for us there in that later part there that they didn't include over on FanDuel. So definitely interesting. So guess what, Title? The next time we'll be back here, it'll be Tuesday. And hopefully I'm still doing all right because it's my birthday next Tuesday. So I'll be 52 years old next Tuesday. So I'm going to see if I can drink 52 high noon. So we're going to see what happens. No, I'm kidding. But
do it before the show so we can see it. No, just kidding. Then I'm carrying that whole show.
You never know what that would God would help me. It would come out of my mouth. So, hey, looking forward to it. You guys all have a good week, and we'll catch you guys back here next week.
We'll catch you next week on Tuesday, and you might see a little more wrinkles on that face of the man to my right here. 51 to 52. Might be a little big difference. Awesome stuff. Can't wait for next Tuesday, Gyiraszin. Before that, let's make some money in this next week. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton. We'll see you at SHIPITNation.com in the Discord. Good luck tonight. Be safe. For Gyiraszin, I'm Title Town. Peace.